About this time, your butter should be clarified. Now it's time to remove the scum, let's call it, from our clarified butter. Make sure you get most of it. Remember, use a spoon when doing this. You don't want to strain it, otherwise you'll just end up mixing it all back together. It may take a bit, but you'll want to get as much as you can out of that. This will be added to our sauce for flavor. Now we're going to boil our water for the noodles. We're going to add about 2 teaspoons of salt to it. Once the water is boiling, we can add our pasta. And now we can get started on our sauce. We're going to empty our 500ml carton of 18% table cream into a saucepan and turn the burner on to a medium-high. Add about a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of pepper. Just before the cream is brought to a boil, we're going to add our mushrooms and mix. Then we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. Mix. And then we're going to add our pesto and stir. Remember, you'll want to reduce the heat to lightly simmer for a couple of minutes. If you don't, and it starts boiling, your cream will curdle, and we don't want that. See? This is simmering nicely. Before we add our yolks, we're going to temper them. See, if you just add the yolk to the sauce, they'll start cooking like scrambled eggs. So by adding some of the sauce to the eggs first and mixing, we temper them, keeping them from cooking right away. Then we're going to add and mix well. Simmer this for a couple of minutes. Next, with some tongs, we're going to grab our noodles and put it in a bowl. We're not straining our noodles. The reason we're not straining is because we're keeping the starch from the noodles, which will allow the sauce to cling to the noodles better instead of running off of it.
It's a little longer process, but the overall result is so much better.
To finish off our sauce, we're going to add our clarified butter, mixing it all together. The butter is going to give it the final bit of flavor.
Very rich dish, but you don't eat too often, I guess.
Once it's mixed, we're going to add the sauce to the noodles and mix everything together. It may look watery right now, but the noodles will absorb and the whole thing will thicken.
So it might look watery, but the noodles, it's gonna soak it all in it. It'll thicken the more it sits longer, so you don't want to make it thick or else it's gonna be dry.
Next, we're going to throw in our tomatoes, mixing it together with everything else.
There you have it.
Now, we'll cut our chicken into bite-sized strips. And we're ready to plate. Make sure you get a little bit of everything for each serving. There you have it. Hungry Bungry Chicken Alfredo a la Linguine. For a complete list of today's recipe, log on to www.moquebec.com/MRBA.